So I was taking a walk, and I really thought this red door, this red blooming maple, the red brick, and the red car all together were compelling. That is, until I started trying to make this video. As I thought about what I wanted to do, I decided I should use a different medium than I had previously. I have a lot of colored pencils that I haven't used in a long time, so I pulled them out. The colors seemed right, so I got to work on a practice version, since I really didn't know how I wanted to use the pencils. Here is the practice. I'll include a list of the pencil colors I used below if you're curious. As I was practicing with the pencils, I felt a creeping dissatisfaction. Here the color was too patchy. Here it was too light. Here the pencil strokes I used were too wobbly. Here the edge was too precise. Here it wasn't precise enough. Basically, I reacquainted myself with why I hadn't used colored pencils in a long time. Since I already feel like this piece doesn't work, I'm going to experiment with painting over colored pencils and see if I can learn something interesting. The paper I'm using is one that's new to me, mineral paper. It's mostly made out of calcium carbonate, bonded with polyethylene resin. The paper is very thin and has an extra smooth surface. Some extra tape reinforcement, and I'll begin with pearl white watercolor. The surface of the mineral paper is extremely silky, like so frictionless there are barely any brush sounds, even though I'm keeping the paint fairly dry. Interference violet is equally smooth to apply, and it looks like the pencil colors underneath are bleeding into it, but it may just be the violet reflect of the acrylic. I'm smoothing some pearl over this gray part, and the pencil seems to eat the pearlescence, so I put down a thicker coat. I'm dabbing on some cerulean blue, which is very easy to spread and shear out. Now I'm mixing interference gold acrylic with Indian red watercolor, making the purple brown of the pencil into more of a warm brown. Next, I'm adding cadmium red deep to interference red, and it immediately brightens and fills in the streakiness of this red section. The cadmium red also darkens the graphite in an interesting way. The cool-toned Alizarin crimson is more saturated than I initially thought it would be, but I like how it gets closer to brick red by mixing it with some Indian red plus interference gold. I've decided I like the red darkened look of the graphite. And straight cadmium red over colored pencil definitely gives the most vibrant red result. I think even though the interference blue is barely visible, it does shift the pale gray and pale blue to a slightly cooler tone. I'm muting down the interference violet with some streaks of Indian red. I like that effect so much that I take the red over several sections, deepening and shifting them further away from cool red to a warmer, browner brick. I'm layering more Indian red with interference gold to add some texture, and that seems a bit closer to what I want. Blending with the dry brush melds everything together and also smooths out the surface, even with all the layers of pencil and paint. The drying time with the mineral paper is so fast. This is a very unique material to work on. Now I'm removing the framing tape. Since the paper doesn't tear, it is bunched and stretched at the corner. I'll have to be more careful with how I use painter's tape on it in the future. Here's the finished experiment. I do like the sheen the paints have brought to the piece, but I'm not sure that the colored pencils are something I'm interested in exploring further. After all of this, I still had a nagging question. Why did I feel like I should try a new medium for this video? As I look back at the original walk video, these colors together just weren't compelling enough for me. So it turns out the colored pencils were a poorly thought out way to make this video more interesting to me. I probably should have tried to find something else to film. That's a hard thing to realize, though, because it means that shooting a walk video doesn't automatically guarantee it will be good inspiration for this series. And that's helping me understand if I want to post to this channel regularly, and I do, I probably need to come up with a few new ways to explore color and metallic materials. I've got some ideas, so I hope you'll come back for those experiments, and of course, eventually, more walks.